Today I want to introduce a couple of things. One is the if statement, which is probably I think it's the core of all programming. I think it's the statement that allows programming to be what it is. And also, I'm going to show you how to use the if statement to do some kind of clever things. If we want to, supposing someone says a sentence, and in that sentence is a word that you want to know if they said that word, we'll be able to look and see, did they say that word? Which is kind of cool, because then for example, if you say to somebody, are you from Fairbanks? And they can say, yes, I'm from Fairbanks, or no, I'm not from Fairbanks. So they can say any combination of words. But if they say yes or no, you can look and find out if they said yes or no, and then you'll know what they said, basically. So first step of that, though, is to figure out how the if statement works. This is a JavaScript statement, and the way we use it is exactly the same way that they use it in Fortran, COBOL, not COBOL, but in C++, C, Java. All the languages use it the same way. So it's pretty much a standardized instruction. Maybe it has a little bit different, curlicues or something around it, but I don't even think that's true. In most languages I know, they work exactly the same way. So let me show you how it works. Supposing you have a program and it has a function. This is the function right here. And I'm going to call the function what? And it's some kind of word, whatever the word is that comes up. So, basically, down here in the program, you ask somebody a question, and they type in, suppose we're looking for the words yes or no, okay? And so you can say, well, are you from Fairbanks, for example? I might say, are you from Fairbanks? And some people will say yes, and some people will say no. So what we want to do is, if they say yes, we want to do one thing. If they say no, we want to do something else, okay? So here's what you do. They answer the question, and their answer comes up in here. It's either the word yes or no. It's one of those two words. So I can say, this is the expression. I say if that word, that's a variable, equals, quote, yes. If I say if that is true, if this is true, then do everything over in here. So for example, I could say out.value, I'm going to call out1, sorry, out1.value equals so basically what you're doing here is a very simple thing. If that word is the word yes, you're going to say to them, out here is going to be an out value, is going to be a box here. So here's what your screen kind of looks like right here. Right? The question says, do you live in Fairbanks? Blah, 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 blah. And then it has a box to take their answer, yes or no. In that box, we send that up to here as word. Whatever the answer comes up to here. They have to press a button to make that happen, by the way. They say yes, and they press the button, and it goes up to here. And then we look at it, and we say, did they say yes? If they did, you say, oh, that's a nice place to live, okay? And then, supposing they said no. Well, if they said no, by the way, I'm sorry, if you guys are writing this, we should have put two equal signs in here. I screwed up. There's got to be two equal signs in these things when you say equal, okay? Two equals right here. And that's true in all the other languages too, by the way. It's a standard. Two equal signs in the if statement. If they said no, then what you could say is out1 dot value equals 50. Whatever. You get the idea. You just, whatever you want to comment, whatever you say. And then it ends the function. That's it. And so what I've done is, I've actually used the if statement. The if statement opens in parentheses. It says, if this stuff in here is true, if word is equal to yes, then do everything over there. If it isn't true, don't do everything over there, just fall through, just do nothing, okay? And then it looks at this one and says, well, is this true? If it is, do everything over there. If it isn't, just fall through and do nothing. So what the if statement does is it kind of allows you to do stuff if a certain condition is true, okay? In this case right here, we're saying if the word they sent in is equal to the word yes, then it is true. Now, there's a lot of other possibilities too, and I'm going to show you those right now. So do you get the idea of how this basic, you have a question? Do you get an idea of how this works? Is that the kind of the basic idea sort of there? Okay, so what we're saying is if something is equal, it means these two things, this word contains the word yes. This word contains the word no, and if it does, that's where you go. You go to there. Now, normally what you do in these cases right here is you add another instruction. I'm going to add it in right now and show you what it looks like. Right over in this end over here, I'm going to say return. Just put the word return in there, semicolon, and close that thing. Now here's what return does for you. I'll put one right here too. Return. Like so. Here's what return does for you. It's possible to have both words in the sentence. They could write down, for example, yes, I mean no, or they could write something like, confoundedly, make it confusing. Okay, now we can't do it in this case. It couldn't happen in this case, but it can happen that you could possibly get more than you want. So if this is the most important one, you say, okay, if I see the word yes, I immediately say, nice place to live, and then I get out of the function. That breaks you out of the function. It doesn't do anything else here. It just gets out. It's over. So it'll never see that line right there. So what a return does is one of these cool things that if you want to test for something's true, and then if it's true, you do whatever you want to do, then you get out. You don't do anything else after that. Now in this case right here, it wouldn't have made any difference because if they just said yes or no, if it was yes, they did that over there. Then when we came down and saw this one, they didn't say no, so it wouldn't do anything. Okay. So in this program, it wouldn't make a lot of difference. But sometimes after you get the answer you want, you process it and you get out of there. Just don't stay there anymore. So you jump out of the function, which means it jumps right down to here and says it's over. The script is it's over. That function's over. Okay, so that's an easy one. So therefore, you know that if two things are equal to each other, you can say if two things are equal to each other, A, something equals B, then you do this over here, whatever it is. If that's true, that's what it looks like, the if statement. If you have numbers, you can do a lot of other things. You can also do this with, you can have greater than or less than as well as equal to. And those in greater than or less than in terms of text, it just means alphabetically where are you on the list. Okay? If you're low on the list, you're at A, B, C. If you're high on the list, you're at X, Y, Z. You're up there. So in other words, you can compare letters too. They can be compared as being greater or less than each other. Or whole words that would give it the alphabetical. In other words, apple is smaller than banana because A's lower in the alphabet than B, and it does it like that. But let me just, before I get into all those details, let me just go now to a different kind of program. Supposing you were working with numbers and you wanted to see if a number was equal to another number. Like for example, suppose you had a guess a number game. You say guess a number. So they type in a number. They press the button. That number comes up here, and you want to see if the number is the one that you're thinking of. Supposing it's a number from 1 to 10. Suppose you say 9 is the number you're thinking of. So what happens is, if they guess the number 9, you say you win. If they don't guess number 9, you lose. Okay? So let's assume that's the game. That's how it works. And here's what happens. The function looks sort of the same. I can call it what? It doesn't even make any difference what you call it. Keep that name if you want to. And I can have it come up as word if I want to. So then what I do is I say something different. Now I say, well, when this number comes up here, I can't just say if that number, watch this, if that number word is equal to 9, like so. Because the problem with this is that 9 is actually a number. It's not a string. you're going to get errors if you do it this way. In other words, if this thing's coming up as it always comes up as text, it's always a string that comes up. Before you compare it to a number, you better say, I better be sure this is a number before I do a test. So you translate it into a number, and then you compare it to a number. So in other words, instead of writing this right here, which would be incorrect, you immediately take this word right here, and you do this. Now remember, this one here, all I did right here was I said, compare that word to the text 9. That's text. It's a text in there. It's not a number, it's text. But supposing I wanted to do this the correct way, because I want to compare this number, it's important that you do it this way. So here's what you say. Well, okay, I make up a variable, and I call it word, give it the same name, word 1. I'll give it that name right there, which is sort of like that. And then I have that equal to number word. Like so. Remember this from one of the very first programs we wrote? So what it does is, if that contains the number 9, it'll change it into a number, and then it'll put it over here. So this now contains the number 9. It's a variable that is just a number rather than a string. Then what you say is, if this thing right here, which is a number, is equal to 9, the number 9, no quotes around it, then do this over here. So what this does for you is, this now guarantees that that is actually a number. It's not a string, it's a number. So it says, this thing right here, which you turned into a number, is comparing to this number. Before, what we did is, we took it as it was, which was a string, and we compared it to quote 9 quote. You can do that, but it's not, I'll show you in a few minutes why that gets to be a big problem. So therefore, that's not the thing to do. You don't want to do it that way. What you want to do is convert this thing. If you're looking for a comparison of a number, convert this into a number right here, and then compare it to an actual number to see if it is that number. That's the number you're looking for. Okay? And that's how you do it with numbers. Now let's write a little program. Supposing you got a job and you're going to work at the motor vehicle department. Okay? And they want you to write a program. You go in the front door and there's a computer in front of whoever goes there. And what it does is it asks you how old you are. You're going to go get a driver's license. And if you say 16 or above, it says get in line. If you say below 16, you don't get in line because you have to get a permit or something else. So therefore, what this program is going to do is something very simple. It's going to say, how old are you? You type in, you press the button, and then it says to you one of two things, either get in line or bye-bye. You can't you're too young to get a license, okay? So, let me show you how to write that program. Remember, if you're 16 years old or older, either one of those, you can get a license. If you're under 16, you can't get a license. So here's what happens. The program's exactly the same as this. It simply says to you, how old are you? And then you type in how old you are, and you press this button. That's the button right there. You type in your age and press the button. It goes up to the function here. I'm going to put age in here. Just change it. Let's call it DMV. We'll call it age, like so. So what's going to happen is you're going to have an on-click thing in that button right there. It's going to send whatever they type in here up to here. Okay. Now still, at this point, I'm not showing you what's going on down here because I'm assuming it's always the same. We always do it the same way. I'm going to write this code right now, but I just want to do this part first because I'm trying to get those if statements out of the way. So in comes age. Well, the first thing is, of course, you have to convert it into a number because it's still going to come up as a string. Nothing you can do. So what you do is you create a variable, and I'm going to call it age1. I always do that little trick of just taking that variable and adding a 1 to it. Simply because that way I always know what I've got. All the variables get all mixed up after a while. No matter what you call the incoming variable, just add a 1 to it, and it's going to be the numerical version of it, because you're going to change that to a number. To a number, age, like so. And what that does is that converts that into here, and that now is a number right there. Now, here's how you say this one. You say if the age that they are is greater than or equal to 16, out1 dot value equals get in line, like so. So in other words, if the age is greater than, that's the greater, on the keyboard you got this greater than symbol. You say greater than or equal. Don't mix those up, by the way. Don't say equal or greater. It's always got to be greater than or equal. Okay, so it's always greater than or equal. So what you're doing is you're saying if this person is, the number they typed in right here is bigger than that or equal to that, get in line, you can get a license. And then what you should do is say, right here, you say return. And I'll show you what you can do now. So in other words, if they hit it, if they hit this line right here, it's going to go over here, it's going to return, and the thing's going to be over. If they fail this test and they don't get out, they're going to come down and hit the next line, right? You're going to immediately say out1 dot value equals too young. Oops. So, or whatever you want to say. Not even just a semicolon. That's all you need. So in other words, you don't need a second if statement because if it does this, it goes over there and it returns, it gets out. If it fails this, it goes down here and hits this. So it's either going to go away or it's going to stay here and do this. And that's it. So what this program does, it allows you to split between out1.value will come up on the screen, like right here someplace, and it will say either say get in line or you're too young. That makes sense to you? So now we have two tests that I've just done. The first test, they said, well, if something is equal to something else, do that blah, blah, blah over there. If something is greater than or equal to blah, 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 do this stuff over here. So we have two tests so far. One will check to see if things exactly equal. The other one says, is it greater than or equal? Okay? Now, while we're doing the greater than or equal, let me show you how that would work with a string. In other words, if we didn't change it to a number, what would greater than or equal? Well, it would work the same way. Supposing we test this with words rather than with numbers. So this right here is what the number one looks like if you're a Department of Motor Vehicles. But supposing what you're doing is you're just checking alphabetically to see if something's higher or lower in the alphabet. You do have to do that in programs sometimes. So I'll call it alpha. And we'll bring in the word, whatever it is. Like so. Okay, supposing we're going to find out. I want to make this program make some sense. It's kind of not making any sense in my head right now. Let's do this. I'm going to bring in two words. The user is going to type in two words. This word and this word right here. Okay. So they might type in, for example, apple and banana. So they have apple and banana. They typed in two different words. Then they hit this button right here. And then this is the answer coming back. So hit that button. Now what I'm going to do in the program is, I want to say, if apple is higher on the alphabet than banana, or is apple lower on the alphabet than banana, or is it exactly the same? Is it the same word? So we're going to test this. We're going to find out if it's greater than or equal to. I want to know if apple is greater than or equal to the second word they typed in, which is banana. Okay? So here's what you do. You say, these are words now. I'm not changing them to numbers. They're in words. And this one, what the person using the program does is type in apple, they type in banana, and it goes up here, that's apple and that's banana. So you say, well, if word 1 is greater than or equal to word 2, that means this one would be higher on the alphabet than that one, right? If it was true. Okay? You would say, out1 dot value equals word 1 plus quote space is greater than quote space quote word 2. Right here. I'm going to get rid of this. Swing up again. Word 2. Like so. Okay, let me explain what I'm doing here. I'm saying if the word they type in is alphabetically higher in the alphabet or equal to what they typed in over here, those two are, if this one's greater than that or equal to it, whichever one, you're going to come over here and say word 1 is greater than word 2. It should say, actually it should say is greater than or equal. You can say either, you can say both if you want, okay? What I probably should have done is just take this equal out of here. And what I'm asking now is word 1 greater than it? I didn't ask the equal part. It says this is word 1. So if I type in apple and banana in that order, this is going to be apple, this is going to be banana. When it comes into here, is apple bigger than banana? No, it is not. Alphabetically, it's lower, right? So therefore, it's not going to go there. It's going to fail the test. It only makes it if I had typed in banana, apple, then what would happen is this. Banana first, apple second. I would say, is banana greater in the alphabet than apple? Yes, it is. So it would go over there and it would do it. So you see, so it does an alphabetic test rather than a numerical test. Because I never converted these guys into numbers. I just left them as strings, because as strings is what they are. Now, these things, believe it or not, it seems kind of technical, doesn't seem like a technical thing. But actually, just think of how many times in your life you've had to take a bunch of cards and sort them into alphabetical order. I mean, you do that all the time. It's a very common thing to have to do. And this is the if statement that actually allows you to do that kind of stuff. It's part of how you just sort things. You have to figure what's greater than what. If this fails right here, it's going to come down to here. Well, I got to have a return. I've got to get out of here. Sorry about that. Semicolon return, because you don't want to hit the next line, like so. So what'll happen is it'll say, is this bigger than this? If it goes over here, it's going to say it's greater than. If it isn't, what you want to say is out1 dot value equals word 1 plus is equal or less than plus word 2. Semicolon, like so. So what happens is, if it goes over here, you know that B, banana, and apple are in the add order. That's correct. It's greater than. If they type in this right here, AB, well, it's going to fail that test. It's going to bump into this. So they say, well, print out that the word 1 is either equal to or less than. See, because we didn't test for equal here, so that's a possibility. There's two possibilities, is it equal or less than. So you can test for a thing being greater than and equal to, or equal to, either one of those, or you can test for just it being greater than. So let me show you, now, let me show you all the possibilities. There's a bunch of possibilities. I'll show you every possibility of if this is equal to, greater than, less than, equal and greater, less than, equal. There's only 6 possibilities, really. So let's do them. You got the equal, greater than or equal. If A is greater than B, if A is less than or equal to B, we'll talk about that in a second. If A is less than B, then they have if A is not equal to B. That's an exclamation point. That is not equal to B. In other words, they'll only go over here if A and B are not the same. This one will go over here. A is smaller than B, it'll go over there. If this one is smaller than or equal, either possibility, it'll go over there. If this one's greater than B, if A is greater than B, it'll go over there. This one's greater than or equal to B, it'll go over there. If it's exactly equal, it'll go over there. And those are the 6 possibilities, and that's all around the world. Those 6 possibilities have virtually created computing. This is where it all is right here. This invented the entire. This is where it makes decisions. If it couldn't make decisions, it wouldn't make any sense. It just does a series of instructions. By looking at something, saying, "Well, is that bigger than that?" It can change directions. It can do something different by processing some other thing. Like it could do this instead of not doing that. It makes a decision. Okay, so those are the if statements right there. And I'm going to give them to you online too, so you'll have a whole list of them and everything. But there they are. And that's kind of how the thing works. Let me write a program to use it, just to show you. You can use it for lots of things, but I'll just give you a couple of demos on how it's possible. I'll write the whole program, okay? Disney has a deal where if you go during certain times, they don't charge you as much to go to Disney World. They have some kind of a deal. And I believe the question is whether you want a value, when you go to buy their package, do you buy a value package, a regular package, or a peak package? That's what we have to figure out. Depending on what you buy, they tell you how much it's going to cost you. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to write a program, and it's going to ask you to type in one of those words, value package, peak package, or what was the other one? I went to Disney, but I don't remember buying these tickets.
This is good because I'm going at the end of the month.
You're going in a month? Which one? Worldy or Land?
Disneyland.
Which one?
Disneyland.
Land, yeah, okay. Value, regular, or peak. Let me write these down so I won't forget them. So what it does is, it asks you which of these 3, you type it in, and you hit the button. And then when it comes back, it tells you how much it's going to cost you. So as you type in either value, regular, or peak, hit the button, and it tells you what it's going to cost you for the package, okay? It's kind of a simple program. So, what you have to do, what your program has to do is, it has to present to them the possibilities of what they can type in. Then it has to have a button for them. And then it has to have a place for the answer to come back. That sort of looks like that. The question is what happens behind the scenes is you have to do an if statement, a bunch of if statements. So let me write the program right here. HTML. I even got some real numbers just to have fun. Now I have to write the, now remember, what they're going to do is they're going to type in here either value, regular, or peak, then hit that button. So what I have to do is send up. Whatever's in this space right here, I have to send it up. So I have to create that space, have an input, put it in. Then I have to have an on-click that sends that up, and that button sends that information up. Assume it gets up here into the program, and the function, I'm going to give it a name, function arrives up here, and I call it Disney price. So, okay, so basically, that's the ticket they want. They want one of those. The price contains one of those 3 words. Okay. The first thing you do is say, well, if price is equal to value, equal to the word value, that means you typed in the word value down there. So therefore, then they're going to say to you, well, here's what the price is for value. Out one, write all the other stuff out. Basically, that's what you send them right there. In other words, to out one down below, you send the answers, $95. That's what they pay when they type in value. If they typed in regular, you say if, by the way, I want to do what I did before. I'm going to add this return in here. Always add this in. Because you don't want, in a program where it does count, you don't want to accidentally leave it out. So the best thing to do is put it in all the time and it works. It does it for you, okay? Value. And price equals regular. Charge for that $105. So in other words, if they say the word value, they're going to see $95 on the lower line. If they say price, it's going to show that on the lower line. Finally, if you typed in peak, that's the busy time. They're going to really put it to you. Here it is. That's the whole function. That's all it does. It simply types back into that space, out one. I'll only write the rest of the program because I haven't been writing it, so I want to show you what the rest of the program would look like. Basically at this point you have /script, /head, and then did I put the body? Yes, I did. Okay. So I put I'm going to put the body right here too this time. Body. Style equals text line colon center. There it is. Whoops. Get my act together here. There we go. Okay, and now what I want to do is I want to I put a little headline up there. I should say, let's see. So you just type that right out on the screen right there. It says what kind of ticket you want. It gives them value, regular, peak. Then you got to give them the input area where they type it in. You got to give them this right here. So you say input. Type equals text. And ID equals, let's call it ticket. So there it is. So now you have an input and we call it ticket. So they just type in one of those words and it's called ticket. Now what you have to do is you have to make the button. The button is going to send it off to this program up here. So you say you got an input. type equals button. And value I'll just put the word press on it. On click, here's the heavy part, equals. We want to go to this function right here, Disney. And we want to send this ID, this ticket right here. We want to send ticket. So we send ticket dot value. So there it is. There's the button. That button right there will send it up to the function. Press that button, up to the function we go with these words right here. And then what happens is it does the processing and it sends back to out1, which I'm going to put in right now, input. This is the out area. I'll put a BR over here, just to get it so it can be down underneath here. BR. Input type equals text. And ID equals out1. There it is. That's it. And you finish up the program with /body and /HTML. That's the end of it. There it is. That's the whole program. So what that program does, it allows somebody to shows up in front of them, and they type in one of those words, and whatever word they type in will actually give them a response for that particular word, whatever it was. Any questions about this so far? No? Okay. So that's what it is, and I'll have programs up there, other demonstration kind of programs. What you might want to do is, you might want to use the program, try them, see how they work, and then look at the code behind them to see what they're doing. Because the code's always going to have two things. It's going to have a piece that shows you what's on the screen, and it's going to have the function that actually does the work for you. So you should see how they both work, just to get an idea of how they work, okay? And that's pretty much the Disney program. There's not much all to it, that's all there is to it. In this particular program, everything that I used was equal. I didn't use any greater thans or anything like that. Didn't require it for this program, okay? So you use whichever ones you need, whether you need equals, the greater, the less, whatever you need. Okay. Okay. Can you get rid of this? Okay. Now what I'd like to do is complicate your life even more. The problem with this program is, what if they typed in, I want regular? Well, they said, I want regular. They typed all these words in. When you go to do the if statement, it won't find regular because it's not regular. That word contains I want regular. It's got a whole bunch of stuff in it. So it won't just see the word that you're looking for. It'll confuse it. Okay? So the thing is, we have to have a way, if a person, and that's one of the big problems of programming, is you never know what people are going to type in because they do the outrageous thing. So basically what you have to do is have a way of saying, did they say the word regular in this thing? Did they even say the word peak or the word value? Did they say any of those things? Now, that program that we're going to write now looks just like this one in every way, except that in the inside of the program, we're going to do something different. We're going to actually look not just at their answer, we're going to look to see if they said the word value in their answer, or regular, or peak, even though they may have said other words. We're going to pull those words out and say, yes, I found those words. Okay? That requires an instruction that, I shouldn't erase this bottom part here, but assume the bottom part's the same. It doesn't change, it's the same thing. It doesn't change at all, it's just exactly the same as that. What really changes is up here in the function, because we're going to do something different. This one just simply did the simplest of all possible things. It simply said, Well, did they say this word, or that word, or the third word? That's all it does. Okay, we're going to do something different now. Okay, so up comes price. Now what you want to do is you want to find out, did they say value, regular, or peak? Okay. I'm going to say variable. Let me see if I want to try to stay as close as I can to my previous programs here. Already off base, so I'm going to change this. I want to stay a little bit close to whatever. So when you see it online, you won't get confused by it. I'll explain this in a second. Okay, now let me explain how this works. This is actually, it's not too complicated, but it's an instruction that's going to be we use it all the time. It's a very common instruction. What this right here is the phrase they sent up to us. That's the phrase right there. And what I'm saying is, I put a point there, and I put index, capital OF, indexOf. And then I put the word I'm looking for in that phrase. In this case, I'm looking for the word value. So in other words, what I'm saying here is, if that word is in this phrase, tell me its location. Tell me if it's in location 0, or 1, or 2. In other words, suppose they said this, I want the value ticket. Supposing that's what they typed. Well, you can see the problem. If you said, did they say value? No, they didn't. They said this whole bunch of stuff. Now, if this index couple 2 is either look in price, this is price right here. This is their whole answer. It looks in price. And it starts counting from 0. It goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes. At 11, it finds it. So what it will do is, if it finds the word, it'll send 11 back to here, or whatever number. Wherever it's located, it'll send that number back to here. If it doesn't find it, it sends a -1. It didn't find it. So what's cool is, as soon as you say this right here, that thing will either contain a positive number, which means you found it, the word was there, the word value was in it, and so you've got it, or it'll put a negative number, which means it didn't find that word. Make sense? Okay, so we'll be doing this a lot, so you'll get used to it. But okay, next thing I want to do is, like I say, I check for that word. I didn't do anything with it yet. I just stored this. If I found it, I stored it. I didn't do anything with it yet. We haven't done the if statements, okay? So I stored this there. Then I say, well, what about this other thing here? Variable, did I find, I'm going to use R equals price dot indexOf. Don't forget, the O is capital, all the rest are lowercase. Quote, regular. Did I find POS? Notice I'm giving these names, V for value, R for regular, and P for peak. I'm giving them different variable names here. Price dot indexOf. Peak. Be sure to write them all in lowercase, because if they're typing lowercase, you don't want to put uppercase and you don't put lowercase. And there it is. So now what happens is, at this point, if they typed any of the words, value, or any of these words right here, either this is going to have a number in it, or this is, and the other two are going to have -1s. Make sense? because they don't have them, they didn't find those words. So in other words, these are going to be, the positive one is the one that you want. If it's positive, that means that word is there. So here's what you do. You say, well, if pos v is greater than 0, because if it isn't, it would be negative, right? If it's greater than 0, that means you found a real number. I'm sorry, I'm going to make greater than or equal, because it could be 0 also. It could be in the very first position. So they're going to go like that, 0, like so. Pos v is greater than or equal to 0. That word was in your answer. It was there. Okay? Then what you can say is, well, whatever that value of that thing was, 95 bucks, 01, that value equals, quote, $1.95. I think it was something like that. So there it is right there. The first 3 lines, all they do is they say, did you find those things? And it puts a signal, sets up a signal for you. Then what you do is you have 3 if statements to see if that signal was positive. So you also say that this one here, no, if it fails this, it's going to fall down and hit this right here. You say if pos r is greater than or equal to 0, that means you found, they said regular. So you say L1 dot value equals $105 or whatever, I don't know what it was, something like that. Semicolon, return. And finally, the last one, you say if pos p is greater than or equal to 0, then you must have found the word, what word did you find? P. So therefore, what you say, L1 dot value equals 150 or I don't know how much, I don't remember, but whatever big money it was. It was more expensive than that one anyway. Return. There it is, and that's the end of it right there. And the rest of the program is exactly the same as the previous one was, all slash script slash everything. The whole trick is in here. This is the whole trick of the thing. And now what happens is, no matter what they type, as long as they hit one of these words, as long as they type one of these words, it will find it. It'll find the word in whatever they say. If they say, I like chickens with value. Yes, it'll find the value. It'll find it. It'll find it if it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 21, but it'll get a number. You'll get some number, and that will be in here. You want to say, is that bigger than or equal to 0? Yes, it is. It'll say 95 bucks, please. Mickey will be smiling if you do this one. He'll smile. He won't smile unless you do the big one, the peak one. But there it is. That's the program. Now there's a couple things here we've done. One is the if statement, which I've used here, but I've used it in combination with this guy over here because this becomes one of the most common things we have to do. Is listen to them type a phrase or say a phrase. We can use it. They can talk to it too. We can have it say the phrase, and we can still look even in that phrase because we can have Google translate it into font, into text, and then we can look through that line of text just like we're looking through this line of text right here. Same way. You say, did they say the word value? Did they say the word? So you can put things together. But basically, this right here is the trick. Is how to say. I want to know, did you say that word, this word, or this word? And here's where you do the if statements and find out. Make sense? Okay. Terrified? I'll show you this online in a minute here. We'll get it up and take a look at it. It is kind of scary, but so probably a little bit of time with it would be good. Now there's one more thing. There are some other things that we can do, which I haven't shown you, and I will show you though. One of the things is it's possible for them to capitalize stuff. You don't want them to do. You want to get it all in the same. You can't say is capital banana equal to lowercase banana. They won't meet. They won't match. They got to be the same case. So it's possible for you to take whatever you get in and force it into lowercase or force it into uppercase so that everything's always the same. And you can also trim off white spaces on both ends if you want to, so there's no white spaces. Everything's closed and it's just what they typed. But those things are for another time. Today, I think what I want to do is, this is actually a lot of stuff, and I want to show you some programs with them in it so that you get a feel for, get comfortable with using them, so you'll see how they work. Okay, so I'm going to take a break here and get this going.